Right. Hey, everyone. All right, I'm going to admit everyone in. We'll see how long everyone. Here's more people joining. Amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. How are we all feeling? Too good, girls. I assume that's mostly girls. What was that? Oh, maybe it wasn't meant to be on. Super, super excited to be here, guys. I don't think anyone has the camera on now anyway, but just wanted to let you guys know that this will be recorded, obviously, that you will get that notification when you first joined. Just making sure that it is recording. Yeah, perfect. I've started these things before and I forgot to record and it's like, no. More people coming in. Amazing. I'm going to give everyone a couple of more minutes just so that we can, just so people can get a little time to join, which is awesome. There's more people. So excited that so many of you joining. I mean, I'm not excited that so many people struggle with binge eating because I assume that's the main reason that you guys are here. But I am excited that you are here and that you're taking this chance on yourself and that you are actually willing to do something about it, because one of the main things that keeps people stuck with binge eating is that they don't want to talk about it, that you don't want to let anyone know that you're struggling, or that you want to keep it hidden, that it becomes like literally becomes like your best friend and it becomes the thing that you rely on the most in life. And it's like, can't tell anyone, and why would I tell anyone? I'm happy with this. So it's amazing that you guys are here. It means that you do want to change, and this is a habit that you really want to break. And I really hope that this workshop is going to help you do just that. Unfortunately, I've had a bit of a cough, worst timing ever. But I am going to do my absolute best to not cough too much. But just an FYI, and I do have water here as well, so I will make sure to stay hydrated and keep the throat hydrated. Cool. It's 2 past. I don't want to keep you girls all night. I know that most of you are probably joining from Australia, which, the time difference here is only 3 o'clock, but where you guys are, there'll be everything from 3 till I think 7 or something. Anyways, I'm just gonna get started, and if more people join in, cool. As I said, I'm freaking buzzing to be here. Like, I haven't been able to stop talking about this workshop to my friends. They're like, Ellie, can you fucking stop talking about it? Because I'm just so excited. My name is Ellen. I assume that most of you already follow me on social media, but if you don't, make sure that you do give me a follow. My Instagram is Ellen Grandstrand, which is down there. If there's anything that you ever want to screenshot, put in your stories, please do, so I can get an actual face to the name and actually say thank you. Like, obviously, I have all of your emails, but I feel like social media just makes it so much more personal. So if you want to screenshot anything, or if you want to message me on there, please do so. So what are we going to cover today? Well, we're going to go through my story and not the whole story, because I feel like I've spoken so much already about my anorexia story, my orthorexia story. The main reason you girls are here today is because you struggle with binge eating. So I'm going to go through my binge eating journey with you. Gonna go through what binge eating actually is, because a lot of people don't actually struggle with binge eating. It's more like an emotional eating or overeating, but it can very easily escalate into binge eating. We're gonna go through how being emotionally controlled by food is actually ruining your life, and where this habit is coming from. I've also created a binge eating cycle because I really want to help you understand why you are struggling with this and where this actually came from for you. We're also going to go through why your brain resists change, why it's so freaking hard to nip this in the bud and stop this. And of course, my method to stop binge eating. And there will be a bonus tip at the end. So everyone who's here, amazing work, because I will actually, before I do the last bit, I will actually turn off the recording because I want to give you guys a bonus for making it live. So if you're watching this back, sorry. Right. Oh, I forgot this was on there. If you want to book a free call with me, just scan this with your camera and it will come up to the booking page. I have a bit of time after this. I think I have like about, a room for 4 calls. So if you're already like, Ellen, I need to work with you, or Ellen, I just need some help and some guidance, book in here and I will be able to give you some one-on-one advice on that call. But I only have, I think, 4 spots. So scan it, book in, do it now. So who am I? Well, my name is obviously Ellen. I'm the founder of the Empowered Woman program, which is an online program specializing in all things self-sabotage. So I work with women who struggle with binge eating, who struggle with anxiety, who struggle with overthinking, who struggle with all or nothing mindset, people pleasing, not feeling good enough, very negative and intrusive thoughts around their body image. All of these responses, they're literally just self-sabotage. They're literally just addictions. And this is something that I specialize in breaking. I'm qualified in CBT, ACT, and NLP, as well as sports nutrition, although I don't coach nutrition anymore. International speaker, and I work for the National Women's Fitness Academy as an educator and writer. I also have a podcast called the Unfiltered Empowered Woman podcast. So go on Spotify or any of your podcast platforms and make sure you follow it, because if you like this workshop, there's going to be even more in-depth information on there on so many different topics, from anxiety to all or nothing mindset to people pleasing to body image, intuitive eating, everything. So my own personal story with binge eating, this really was something that started off when I started recovering from my anorexia, because I had been, someone's coming in. I had been restricting my food for so long, because I had this idea in my head that I'm only as good and as loved as I am skinny and as I am hardworking. So when I started recovering, I started thinking that I'm not valuable anymore. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy of receiving love. No one's looking up to me anymore. No one's coming to me for advice. No one's saying things like, wow, you're the hardest worker in the room, and wow, you look so good. Like, all of that stopped when I started recovering, and I hated it. Like, yeah, I looked normal, but on the outside or on the inside, I was more broken than I ever felt before, because I no longer was this girl who was this super hardworking girl who could achieve anything. I felt like I couldn't do anything anymore. I was still trying to lose weight. I would go on whatever Jennifer Lopez diet or Britney Spears, this was 15 years ago, or whatever diet that was in the magazines. I would try it all. I would try paleo, vegan, keto, everything. Stick to it for a couple of days, and then something small would happen, and I would just be like, well, fuck it. I've ruined it anyway, so I might as well binge. And this just kept going. This kept going, and it got worse and worse and worse. It really escalated after I did a bodybuilding competition where I thought that I got my binge eating under control, because I did a 12-week prep with basically eating nothing. And after the prep, I had bought all this food that I wanted to eat after the competition. But what actually happened was that I came home, I ate all that food, and I thought that was going to be it. I'm going to eat all this food now, and then I'm going to go back to my crazy strict diet, and I'm never going to binge again. But what actually happened was that I ate all that food. I called in sick to work the next day because I was like, I'm not binge eating. I'm not done binge eating. And I had another day of binge eating, went back to my crazy diet, did that for a couple of days, and then one tiny thing would happen. For example, I would close the cafe that I worked at. That would be enough of a sign for me to be like, okay, well, the day is going to be ruined anyway, so you might as well eat like shit all day and eat and binge all day. And I remember so specifically, there was one time when I closed the cafe and I had all of these croissants left, and I took them into the bathroom, and I had Nutella in there with me as well. And I was like just dipping the croissants in the Nutella and shoving it all into my mouth. And I just didn't, because I was hiding in the bathroom because I didn't want anyone to see. And then someone came in and they like knocked on the door, and I opened, and I had like Nutella everywhere, and they're like, what's been going on in here? And I was so embarrassed. Like, that was my worst nightmare, that anyone would know what I was doing. Another thing that I used to do was that if I had all these different cakes that I had to throw away, I would take one bite of that and throw it away, and one bite of that and throw it away, and take one bite of that and throw it away. And it got to the point where I had to cover things in the bin with rubbish. Otherwise, I would pick it up from the bin and eat it anyway. Like, I was obsessed with my eating. I was hiding this behavior from everyone that I knew. Even my partner at the time had no idea. Like, he would say things to me like, why are you not skinnier? Because all he saw was me starving myself, or me trying to make up for what I'd eaten by spending so many hours in the gym. He didn't see that I would go to KFC after the gym and buy a family meal and go to a random street, eat it all, and throw it in someone else's bin. He didn't see that I was actually the one who ate all of his bread and then just blamed it on a roommate. He didn't see that I ate all of his peanut butter but replaced it before he got home. He didn't know any of that, because when you have an addiction, you become an expert at hiding your behavior. My worst nightmare was that anyone would find out that I was actually a failure, that I wasn't this perfect girl that I had portrayed that I was. I never thought that I felt like I was good enough. I was in a constant state of fight or flight. I always felt like I had to train more or restrict more or lose more weight. Nothing that I did felt like it was enough. Waking up on a Monday with a food hangover, that was normal for me. I thought, this is just my life now.
No problem.
Oh. Hang on. Just gonna make sure everyone's muted. Perfect. And looking back to that, it makes me so sad, because I wasted so long jumping from diet to diet, so much money spent on nutrition coaches that fixed the problem for a little bit because I was on a strict plan. But as soon as I had one slip up, or as soon as I stopped doing the plan, I would just go straight back to my binge eating again, because it was the most exciting part of my life. If I wasn't binging, I felt like something was missing. I felt like this is just who I am. And nothing in my life, no parties, no boys, no friends, can be as exciting as sitting at home and eating on a Saturday night by myself. It's cough, guys. This all changed when I started working. I finally gave up on replacing my binge eating with different diets. When I finally started working on my insides, what was actually going on for me, my mindset. Why did I feel like I wasn't good enough? Why did I hold on to this story that I had to be the hardest worker in the room? Why did I never feel like I could be loved by someone for who I was? Why did I feel like I had to look a certain way to be beautiful? This was something that I had to work on. And then I understand the underlying reasons for my addiction to binge eating. And it was never about the food. And what you're going to learn today is that you're going to see that it's not about the food for you as either. I want you to learn how to regulate your nervous system so that you can come back to the body instead of being completely disconnected from mind and body, where you don't understand what you truly need and you're just constantly reacting. I'm sure a lot of people who here tonight have had that feeling of, I don't know why I just ate that. I don't know why I just grabbed that. It just happened. Here's a little, before we get into it, I wanted to show you a little testimonial from one of my clients, Amy. Amy is one of my clients who has ADHD. A lot of my clients do, because binge eating is something that is extremely common for people who have ADHD. What Amy said is that she learned more from me than she learned from years of going to therapy and counseling. And this is something I get so much. And I'm not saying that I'm better than a therapist or a psychologist. I mean, I am a therapist, but a psychologist, because everyone has a different way of working. But the way I work is that I combine the stuff that I've learned in school with the stuff that I've learned from my own personal experience. And that is what makes me so fucking good as a coach. This has improved her relationship to herself, her kids, and her husband. One message she said to me was, I can finally understand my kids. And that was the most amazing message I've ever received. Amy stopped binge eating after our second call. This could happen for you too. She has also increased her business revenue because she's been able to apply what I have taught her to her clients. So she has gotten better results, therefore made more money. So let's go over, are you actually a binge eater? Because binge eating isn't just about going for pizza and having some ice cream. You know, we all overeat. I'm sure every single person here had a few extra Easter eggs over the weekend. That's normal. Foods like chocolate, pizza, ice cream, these foods are not designed for you to be like, oh, that was so nutritionally valuable for me. These foods are literally designed for you to want to eat more of them. So the fact that you have eaten a lot of that food and that you have a couple of Easter eggs and you're like, oh, I want more, that's normal. It's what this food is meant to do. You're meant to not be able to stop. If you were able to stop and like have one square and be like, nah, enough, do you think that the chocolate company would make any money? No. They are created so that you want to eat more of them. So overeating, going for pizza and then going for ice cream because you're out with your friends and you're having a great time, normal, completely normal. Binge eating, I think that the biggest difference with binge eating and overeating is what happens before, during, and after. So before a binge, you get this like hyperfixation on that food. It's like the only thing in the world that matters to you. It's like you need to eat that piece of food or the ice cream or the donut or whatever it is. Nothing else matters. It's like, I don't care that my kids are at home. I don't care that I'm late for work. I don't care that it's going to cost me $300. Like I literally spent $300 on an Uber Eats bill once because I was like, I need all of these things. I need it. I cannot go through the day without if I don't order these things. And then after, whilst you're eating it, it's like you're on autopilot. It's like, it's almost like looking at yourself from above or from the side and like, you know, you shouldn't eat it, but you just can't stop yourself. It's like, I just can't stop. And so many people say to me that it feels like they have an out-of-body experience, sorry. And then after, it's always followed by this intense feeling of guilt and shame and feelings of failure. Like, why did I do this? And why am I such a failure? And I feel awful. Whilst after someone has overeaten, like, yeah, sure, you might be like, did I need to eat all those Easter eggs? No, but it's okay. Everyone overeats. So the main thing isn't so much about the food, the quantity, but about how you're feeling whilst this process is going on. Binge eating is not being able to stop until you're physically ill. This doesn't mean that you throw up. Yeah, sometimes people do, but it means that you eat until a point where you're like, if I have one more bite, I am going to explode. It's something that happens when you're alone. You wouldn't binge in front of other people. If you eat in front of other people, it's because you're aware. If you're an addict, like binge eating is an addiction. If you're an addict with drugs, alcohol, you wouldn't just drink and or take drugs in front of other people. You do this behavior in secret. And this is why it's so hard to break, because the secret becomes your best friend. And it tells you that if you tell anyone, they are going to think you're weird. They're not going to understand what's wrong with you. They're going to say, but just stop eating. How many times have you not heard that? I know whenever I try to speak about it for me, people just say, well, just don't eat. Or just don't buy Nutella. Well, if I wanted Nutella, I would drive to the other side of town to get Nutella. It did not matter that I didn't have it at home. It can literally be on any foods. When I was at my worst, if I had eaten all the yummy foods in my house, I literally could sit there and just binge on dry pasta out of the packet. I didn't care. I just needed to get to that point of being so full that I couldn't think of anything else. If you don't have already, I would like you to get a notebook out now, because I want you to do some reflection on your own. Because there's a reason why you showed up here today. And I want you to write down, how is binge eating holding you back in life? What is it costing you? How much money are you spending per week on binge eating foods? How much is it holding you back from getting your dream life? Maybe you're not going after the guys or girls that you want because you feel insecure in your body. Maybe you don't want to go to the gym because you're like, well, I give up on everything. What's the point? Maybe you don't have enough friends because you'd rather stay at home and binge than go out and meet people. What is binge eating costing you? And take some time to reflect on this. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes for this. Coughing minutes as well. Jesus, worst timing ever. What would your life look like? What would your body look like if you weren't binging? How much more energy would you have if you weren't binge eating? What kind of relationships would you actually have? What kind of clothes would you wear? What trips would you go on? Like, how many trips have you said no to because you were afraid that you would go and binge and embarrass yourself in front of everyone? What opportunities would land in your lap if you weren't binge eating? So where does binge eating come from? Well, if you paid attention, you now know that it's not actually about the food. And binge eating is also not who you are. It's a behavior that's influenced by different factors in our lives. Different factors like restrictive dieting, trauma, stress. These are things that often trigger binge eating. And over time, it becomes a habit because your brain starts associating certain emotions with the urges to binge. So, for example, if you grew up in an environment where you were constantly told you are not good enough, maybe your dad always said to you, you can achieve more. Oh, why did you only get second? Why didn't you win? Why didn't you get the best grade? Why aren't you the best person in the class? You might grow up in a mindset of, I'm not good enough. And that's hard. No one likes feeling bad. So, and then when we also have our parents who say, don't cry, don't be sad, stop crying, stop being angry. Well, then we have this belief and we have this feeling that we don't know what to do with. So we look to, what did our parents do when they were sad? Maybe they disconnected and just walked away. Maybe they screamed. Maybe they ate. And if that's how they dealt with difficult emotions and thoughts, well, of course, that's what you're going to learn how to deal with these things as well. And what happens is that once your brain learns that, oh, she's sad, she doesn't like to feel like this, she feels stressed. Okay, what can we do now to relieve this? Your brain doesn't think into the future. It just thinks, what can we do right now to fix this problem? Well, binge eating. Great. Eating loads of food, that gives us a big surge of dopamine, which makes us feel really, really good. Perfect. Problem fixed. So once we've done this enough times, our brain starts associating feelings of sadness or anger or whatever it was that you felt with binge eating. And doing that enough times, it literally creates a shortcut to that behavior. Because our brains are very lazy. They don't like to spend loads of energy on things that doesn't actually require that much energy. They want to save this energy for real life or death scenarios. And even though you might not like your binge eating, your brain doesn't care. Your brain just wants you to stay alive. And binge eating has obviously gotten you this far, so it can't be that bad, right? So what is the binge eating cycle then? Well, everything that we do stems from a thought and a feeling. So if we go back to this slide, trauma stems from our childhood. Most of our trauma stems from our childhood. Of course, we can experience and develop trauma in our adult life or when we're teens as well. But most of our trauma, most of our beliefs come from our childhood, who we were taught that we were as children, how we saw the world, what we were taught that it's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's not good. Most of our subconscious mind, so our habits and our belief systems, are formed in those early stages of our life. So if you were taught as a child, crying is bad, showing emotions is bad, expressing your needs is bad, push it down, push it down, push it down, then of course you're going to start developing coping mechanisms to deal with these emotional needs. Because emotions don't just leave the body. Emotions will stay until they're done being felt. Emotions is literally energy in motion. And if we don't allow that energy to move the way it's supposed to, it will come out in one way or another. And one of those ways is binge eating. It could also come out as depression. It could also come out as drinking. It could come out as having loads of sex. This is what happens. And this is how we create addictions. When we don't understand how to deal with these underlying feelings from our thoughts. So when we have a trigger, that something happens in your life that triggers this really uncomfortable thought. For example, maybe you didn't get that job, or maybe you didn't get enough likes on your photo. What is the thought that then comes with that? So just imagine last time you binged. What happened before that? What was the trigger? Maybe your boss screamed at you. Maybe you had a fight with your partner. What did that trigger inside of you? Did that trigger the thought that I'm not good enough, that I'm not worthy of love, he's going to leave me, I'm not beautiful, I'm not smart? Maybe if you're an online coach, maybe people didn't sign up to your program. Maybe that triggered, I'm not as smart as other coaches, I'm not as good as other coaches, I'm never going to be good enough. What is the fear that comes with that thought? I'll be stuck here forever. I'll always have this shitty job. I'm always going to keep gaining weight. No one's ever going to love me. I'm never going to be successful. And because we can't deal with that fear that triggers that intense emotion of sadness or anger or anxiety, stress, we try to just push it away, and we take action to do that. What can you do to make yourself feel better in that moment? Distraction. Perfect. You eat, you go on your phone, you go on Netflix, you play a game, you doom scroll, you text all these random guys to have sex with them, you go on the dating apps, maybe you take drugs. That will make you feel better for now. But what it actually does, that it confirms the belief that you already have about yourself. Because someone who is not good enough, of course they would binge eat. Someone who's a failure, of course they would binge eat. Someone who is not beautiful, of course she would sleep with all these disgusting guys. Someone who is not smart enough, of course she would eat, or she would throw away all her uni stuff, or she wouldn't study, or she would purposely pass, or she would purposely fail that exam. You just confirmed that what you're believing is already true. This is what our subconscious mind does. It's constantly just trying to prove that what we're thinking is always right. So your subconscious encourages this cycle because that means that it's safe. In this cycle, you are safe. You might not be happy, but you're safe. That confirmation of I'm not good enough triggers the guilt. Why can I never do anything right? Oh my God, I'm such a failure. Oh my God, I hate myself. This is so shit. Which then triggers our anxiety of, okay, how can I fix this? What can I do to fix whatever just happened? What can I do to fix the fact that I failed in this exam? What can I do to fix that I didn't get enough likes? What can I do to fix that I just binged? Well, I'll restrict. I will sign up to a new diet. I will sign up to a stricter plan. I will eat less food next week. I will train more. I will purge. I even have a client who do. Which then just leads you on to the next trigger again, because you are going to get triggered again, honey. There's no such thing as a trigger-free world. Our triggers are our biggest teachers, because the triggers teaches us what we actually believe about ourselves. But triggers are only valuable when you can do the deeper level work and understand, why did I just react like this when he said that, or when she said that, or when this happened? It's never actually about what's happening right now, but about what that triggers inside of you, which then triggers the cycle of binge eating. So how can we then break this cycle? Because your subconscious doesn't want you to break it. You have to take action and do something new. So instead of, when that anxiety comes in, instead of going to the safe thing, which is the restriction, you need to do something that's out of your cycle, something that you've never done before, something that is going to feel scary because it's meant to feel scary. It's not, if it feels safe, it's not the right thing. If you're not a little bit scared of it, it means that it's still in here. The fact that it's scary means that it's something outside of your nervous system safe zone. Perfect. That's what you want. Lean into that and say to yourself, I'm done repeating the same mistakes, so I'm going to try something new. We have to take the leap if we want change in our lives. And this is the same thing for every single area of your life where you feel stuck. You have to do something drastic. You can't just sit on your ass and hope that everything's going to be the same, because you will fall back to the same habits. You need to create a change and a new path for yourself and start working on a new neural pathway in your brain. If you can recognize yourself in that, I'm going to give you some more tools for how to do this yourself. But if you can recognize yourself in that, then this program is for you. And it hasn't even launched yet, but I already have people who have signed up. I actually only have 9 spots left, and there's 57 people who have subscribed to this workshop. So if you want in, you need to get in now. You need to get in quickly. This program is going to help you stop binge eating faster than you ever thought possible. Ever. Like, every client that I have are like, what the fuck? How have I already stopped? How has this already happened? And we are only in week 1 or week 2. You're going to learn to manage your anxiety, understand how to regulate your nervous system so that you can create that connection between your mind and body again, and not feel like your mind saying one thing and your body saying another thing. You're going to learn to become more present and in tune with your body so that you no longer have to follow apps and meal plans and coaches and ask other people for validation and what do you think I should do? No, you're going to learn how to validate yourself and feel good enough as you are, no matter what anyone says about you. You're not going to gain tons of weight. You're not going to ever feel guilty or ashamed of your behavior, because who you're going to be working with, me and the other women who are going through the same stuff as you, they're going to support you no matter what, because they're all on the same journey or very, very similar journey to you. I also am not going to overwhelm you by getting you to tick off 100 different habits or do a ton of different tasks every day. Like, the videos that I have in the Empowered Woman Hub, they're literally 10 to 20 minutes videos long. Like, they're so short and so easy. Like, you can pop them in and you can listen to them on your walk. I hate watching long videos, so I made them short and concise, very straight to the point. I'm not about the fluff. So if that's what you want, if you want a change for yourself, if you don't want to be stuck in that cycle anymore, this program is literally going to change your life. So how do we then overcome this resistance to change? Because right now you're probably like, Ellen, I can't, like, it's too expensive. I don't have time. It's not the right time for me right now. I'm going to do it next year. Yeah, this is exactly what your nervous system wants you to do, because your brain hates change, making it challenging to break this habit, especially on your own. Familiarity is safety. Look at it as back in the day. So you have to understand that our brains haven't really developed that much in the last however many years, but our environment has, right? Again, our environment now versus in the caveman days are completely different. But your brain hasn't changed much. Your brain still thinks that we know this path next to the lions. This path is not fun to walk. We always scratch our leg here. We always come to the end and we're freaking exhausted and so tired. But we know that this path is safe because the lions don't wake up when we walk here. What you want to do now is that you're literally telling your brain we're going to try this new path. We don't know where it leads. We don't know if we're going to walk straight into lion family, but we could also end up walking in the most beautiful road ever, where there's no danger, where there's these flowers and butterflies and, forests, beautiful trees. You don't know that. And your brain doesn't know that. Your brain will always choose familiarity over change. This is why people struggle to break toxic relationships, for example. It's like their body knows that they should leave. They're like, get the fuck out of here. This is not safe. But their mind is like, no, at least I know he's going to be an asshole to me. At least I know I'm going to have someone to come home to tonight. At least I know what's going to happen tomorrow. If I leave, I don't know what my day is actually going to look like. And that scares the shit out of your nervous system. So binge eating is like an addiction. So to break an addiction, you can't just say, I'm going to stop now. You need accountability. Even if you don't go with me, ask a friend, ask your husband or partner or girlfriend. You need that accountability to be able to consistently keep showing up and keep making these changes, keep showing up for yourself, because it requires so much repetition to build that new neural pathway in your brain. Because that old pathway is clear, it's easy as peasy to walk. Why would you ever choose this new pathway that you never walked before and it's super, super hard? You need that accountability to be able to keep choosing that new path and keep working on it. Binge eating is literally just a way for you to numb yourself from having to face those difficult emotions. And yeah, it does feel like a habit after you've done enough repetitions, because like I said, once we've done something enough times, your brain's just going to go, oh, she's feeling a little bit sad or a little bit tired after work. So, let's just drive in here to KFC, or let's just drive in here to Krispy Kreme and get loads of donuts. And all of a sudden we have that dopamine release again and we feel great. That's how your brain works. So in order to break this habit, we need to take the necessary steps and build a plan that takes you on that path and keeps you accountable so that you keep being consistent and show up for yourself and break this habit. This is my secret 4-step process to let go of binge eating. Now, obviously, there's so much more that goes into this as well. And everything that I do is very, very personalized. So unfortunately, I can't give everyone, the same or everyone advice based on your personal scenario, because what works for one person might not work for you. And that's great. Perfect. We all should be different. Everyone should be different. Everyone should have different recovery plans and get different advice. This is why I only take on a certain amount of people, because I want to be able to help everyone the way that they should be helped. So the first thing that you can do is to name your binge eating voice. What this does is that it creates a distance between who you actually are and the voice that's trying to get you to do all these things. This is not the real you. Thoughts are not facts. Thoughts are just thoughts. And sometimes we choose to believe our thoughts and go with them and act on them because they make us feel certain things, but it doesn't mean that they're true. Naming that voice helps you see that this is not actually who you are. Identifying your triggers and eliminate unnecessary ones. For example, if you notice that you get really, really triggered when you see one certain person on your Instagram, and that just causes you to feel shit about yourself, you start having really negative self-talk, and you notice that you go to the mirror and you hate yourself, you squeeze your stomach, or you try all these clothes that no longer fit you, and then you binge. What the freaking hell are you following that person then? Unfollow or mute until you started to heal, and then we can follow her again if you still want to. But at the moment, that's not a necessary trigger that you need in your life. And with this, it's like, if I have an open wound and I want that to heal, if I poke it every single day, that's never going to heal. You need to give the wound time to heal, to start the healing process before you introduce these kinds of triggers into your life again. We need to ensure that you're eating enough food and create a diet that suits you. And I'm not talking about restrictive, crazy plans. I'm talking about a diet that actually works for you. If you like eating 3 meals per day, perfect. If you like eating 6 meals per day, great. Doesn't matter. We need to find a way of eating that works specifically for your specific situation with foods that you actually enjoy. Because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to stick to it. It doesn't matter if I give you the most perfect nutrition plan in the world. If you don't actually enjoy the food that you're eating, there's no freaking chance that you're going to stick to it. We also need to let go of the guilt associated with binge eating. So what happens in an addiction process is that when we have to create an addiction, you need two things. You need the dopamine release and you need the guilt. When we get a big dopamine release, so when we are having the food or the alcohol, the drug, whatever it is, the dopamine goes up. So what happens with the guilt? Well, it goes down. Nothing lasts forever, so what goes up has to come down. So you get that huge crash where you feel like shit about yourself because the guilt goes up. And what do you do when you don't want to feel guilty? What do you do when you don't want to feel like a failure? You don't want to feel like shit? Well, you look for another dopamine hit. So then you go back up again, and then you created that cycle. If you can remove the guilt, that dopamine no longer has anything to fluctuate towards. So we have removed a big component of what creates your addiction. Now, obviously, you have to do so much deep mindset work to be able to do this. The bonus tip: celebrate successful attempts to dismiss urges to binge. This is really how you will encourage those new neural pathways in your brain, because your brain changes through addition, not subtraction. There's no delete button in the brain. We can't just go, boop, gone. We have to add things in to create a new pathway, a new way of doing things, a new way of thinking. We can't just remove the old one. You can't just remove thoughts from your mind. Anyone who says that clearly doesn't know psychology. You can only change your thoughts by creating new ones. How do you want to feel about yourself? And to do that, you need to understand why you're having these thoughts and feelings in the first place. So the tip is to start celebrating the successful attempts when you are not binging. So if you were able to dismiss your urge to binge tonight, celebrate the shit out of that. Because the idea behind this is to make the dopamine release from not binging to be, it's never going to be as big as when you binge, but to make that something that your brain remembers, that, oh, remember how good I felt when I didn't binge? I want that feeling again. Here's another testimonial from someone who came to me who was in my signature program. So they're more the group and one-on-one combined into one. And she stopped binge eating, I think in week like 5 or 6, maybe. Anyway, she stopped binge eating in less than 8 weeks. And we created so much more awareness and regulated her nervous system. And she said she's made so many changes in starting on the program and learned to be more patient with herself. And the thoughts are just thoughts. And she has built more compassion and acceptance for herself, and has just, yeah, she's just changed so many things in her life. And one of the big things is that she stopped binge eating so she could remove that big stressor in her life. And now she has so much more patient with herself, but also able to see things so much more clearly. Because when you remove something that just clouds your judgment and something that you think about 24/7, all of a sudden you're gonna realize that, shit, my life is actually so amazing. Like, look at all these so cool, super cool things that I have that you didn't actually know were there because you were so focused on that one thing that was the binge eating. Please remember that every time you dismiss an urge, you are taking a step on that new path that we're trying to build. You are starting to rewire your brain, and you're moving closer to a binge-free life. And this can also apply to you if you are someone who overeats, because overeating is something that can so easily fall into binge eating. Like, you can so easily develop binge eating from emotional eating and overeating. Now, everyone overeats at times, everyone emotionally eats at times, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when it becomes something that happens more than 3 times a week, then I'd say that this is something that you need to nip in the bud before you develop a full-blown binge eating disorder. Relapses are normal. As with any addiction, it's completely normal. Don't look at this as, oh my God, I failed. Look at this as an opportunity to practice that resilience and look at, okay, what can I learn from this situation? What can I take and move on so that I can become stronger from this and not let this bring me down? The last thing that we want to do is to restrict and to blame ourselves. We do not want to fall back into the cycle of guilt again. Remember the pan. Remember, if you add into the guilt again, and I know this is hard because the last thing that you're going to want to do after binging is probably to eat your dinner. But this is exactly what you need to do. You need to stop with that blaming, restrictive mindset and focus on how can you move forward and how can you show yourself compassion and acceptance in this scenario. Like I said, overcoming binge eating is extremely hard to do on your own. It's a journey, it's not a destination, and it's going to take time. And especially if you do it on your own. Like if you do it on your own, like I struggled for 10 years because I was so like, I don't need help, I can do it myself. And so many binge eaters are overachievers. So this is normal. I get it. I totally get it. But I don't want you to struggle for 10 years like I did. Because the longer you wait to start your recovery journey, the more time and money you're going to have to spend to overcome it. There's no such thing as I have to be sick enough to get help. This is just something that your subconscious mind is trying to tell you as an excuse for why you shouldn't reach out for help, why you shouldn't have shown up here today, why you don't need to watch this back, why you don't need to apply any of these tips. Oh, you're not sick enough. Oh, it doesn't matter. Yeah, but what if you come back in 6 months and your life looks exactly the same or worse? If you've recognized that something in your life needs to change and that you're not happy with it, you deserve to change it. No matter if that's dating the wrong people or not having deep enough friendships or having bad skin or bad digestion or that you don't feel confident around certain foods, you deserve to change that. You don't have to wait until you hit rock bottom to change something. So I am, someone just came in now. Bit late. I'm looking for 9 women who wants to stop binge eating in just 90 days. And that is guaranteed, guys. If you haven't stopped in 90 days or significantly reduced your binge eating, I'm literally going to give you your money back because I don't want to take your money if my program hasn't worked. This has never happened to me and it's not going to happen to you either. But I want to give you that guarantee because I know it can be scary as hell to sign up to something. And this is not the cheapest program out there, no, but it is the best one. And I'm saying that with so much confidence because the results that I'm getting, there's no other coach to get that. And there's a reason why you're here. So I have my premium one, which is $3,600 for 12 weeks, which gives you fortnightly one-on-one calls with me, unlimited WhatsApps between calls, and all the inclusions in the signature. Now, the most popular one is the signature program, which is a hybrid style program mixed between one-on-one and group. You get the fortnightly group coaching calls. You get fortnightly day one-on-one with me in WhatsApp, where we go over everything that you might not have wanted to bring into the calls. But the best thing with the calls is that you can choose to just sit as a fly on the wall and just watch the other girls talk and get coached by me, or you can actually bring in what you're going through. And I can guarantee you that someone's gonna be like, oh my God, I'm going through that. Oh my God, I can relate to that, or I went through that. Happens every time. You also get one-on-one calls every 8 weeks and an unlimited support in the empowerment group chat. That chat is literally going off every day, even on the weekends. So if you ever need support on the weekend, just grab your phone, text, someone will reply within like 10-15 minutes. In the educational hub, we have weekly educational modules and workbooks. This is my stop binge eating blueprint. This can be applied to overeating, emotional eating, any kind of self-sabotage, anxiety, overthinking, all or nothing mindset, perfectionism, people pleasing. What I'm going to teach you is something that you're going to be able to apply to every single area of your life. Like I said, first in, best dressed. And I am going to turn the recording off now because the next thing I'm going to say is only going to apply to people who are on the call. So sorry, everyone.